Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over our buys, sells, and dividends for April 7th through the 13th, which is today. Let's get it. So first thing I want to bring up is the Grayscale Trust portfolio. As you guys can see here, on Friday, our portfolio got absolutely smashed on the news that both Israel and Iran could be having some kind of conflict. And it's not just this portfolio. All of our portfolios got kind of hammered. But to be completely honest, this kind of lines up with the cycle theory perfectly, that there is likely going to be some kind of dump in Bitcoin and altcoins pre-halving. It has happened every single cycle. For one reason or another, it's always taken place. So it lines up perfectly with the narrative. But do I think that Israel and Iran are going to go out on a limb and just start destroying each other? No, I do not. I think it's all pomp and circumstance. I think that they both understand the weight of the consequences of what would happen if they did so. And I think that they're going to come up with some kind of resolution to call it all off, so to speak. But anyways, so you guys can see we have a little bit less BCHG here. This is just simply something that we do. So we took our initial investment off the table because you guys got to understand something about crypto. And it didn't really bother us that much that the markets dumped. We're used to it. If that were the case, we would have just simply sold out of everything, said screw this, we're going to take our profit and run. But obviously we didn't. But you guys have to understand, there have been dumps throughout Bitcoin's history where Bitcoin itself has dropped like 30 to 50% in a bull market, not in a bear market. In a bull market, it dumps 30 to 50%, and altcoins and anything that's considered to be equal to an altcoin dumps like another 10, 20% on top of that. Okay, so you're talking like 60, 70% drops in alts. So we just simply safeguarded our money by basically taking the initial investment out, which the IRS is probably going to consider to be taxable because it's profit. That's how they see that. And now at this point with BCHG, we're just playing with the house's money. So if it comes back down to, I'd say somewhere between $4 to $7, we're going to pick up more at that point. But anything above that, we're probably just going to focus on buying something else. So BCHG is still up a lot. It's still up 206%. LTCN still up 146% because, again, we've been holding our positions for a while and our cost bases are really low on these. We could come back in on Monday next week and buy some HSEN and some ETCG since this technically is undervalued compared to our cost basis at this point. But next week, our focus is still going to be a little bit more heavy on the Bitcoin miners. The reason why we're doing this is because we're thinking out into the future when we think about these things. Generally, the way the cycle works, like we've told you guys before, Bitcoin pops off first, and then Ethereum, and then the altcoins. Well, which one of these is going to pop off first in that sequence that we have in our portfolios? It's probably going to be the Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin. And we do have some Bitcoin and we do have some Ethereum. So once Ethereum pops off, then guess what? ETH-E and ETH-G or ETCG are going to pop off, which is one of the reasons why we have this. And then lastly, LTCM will pop off, of course, and Litecoin because they're oscillators to Bitcoin. And then afterwards, you'll get things like HSEN, Mana, Filecoin, those kinds of cryptos that start popping off a little bit later in the cycle. So going over here into the activity, you guys can see that we did actually cash some of these out. So 135 shares. Again, we've been cashing out crypto in all of our portfolios for months. It's not like we just started doing this. We've been doing it for a while. It's not the first time that we took profit on BCHG either. If you guys want to hold to the peak of the bull market, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Our previous experience has been this. When we got in May of 2020, believe it or not, we didn't even know that was the halving month. We just got in. We're like, we have all this cash sitting on the side. Let's go ahead and buy something. Because, we already bought, we were index fund investors. We didn't have any dividend paying stocks or crypto or anything like that. We just invested in index funds. That's all we did. So we thought crypto was interesting. We're like, let's go ahead and go out and buy some Bitcoin, right? Just kind of test it out, see what it's like. Then eventually later we got into altcoins and we sat on our positions for 6 months, did nothing, did not buy the altcoins at the perfect time, which is basically between the halving date and 6 months after the halving is literally the perfect, the lowest risk time frame, in my opinion, to be accumulating crypto. And we missed out on massive gains. Like I said, Dogecoin did like a 750x. We didn't buy it we didn't buy a ton at 1/10 of a penny or 2/10 of a penny. So the point of this is don't be like us in the previous cycle. If the opportunity is there, take advantage of it. Not financial advice, but if the train's leaving and you miss the train, well, then it's too late. You don't get the chance to buy at cheap prices. You're going to be one of those retail FOMO traders that FOMO in at the top. So anyways, we sold at 13.30, so that's about a $9.30 about a $9.30 profit per share times 135 shares. Do the math. And we did also buy a little bit of HCents, so it was actually, I believe it was actually above our cost basis at that point. But we bought a little bit because we were like, it's close enough. Well, no, I take that back. I guess it actually was slightly under. You guys can see our cost basis is 680. So anyways, the profit on that is 1,796.16. So going over here to M1, as you guys can see, we'll go over to the trading tab. We did not really do anything in terms of trading in this portfolio this week. It's just kind of at a standstill, so we're collecting dividends. So we got $1.93 from TLTW. This is a 20-year bond BlackRock fund, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I think iShares is BlackRock. So 15 cents from Bito, which is interesting because we don't have Bito anymore. OARC, we got $8.90. TSLY, $187.96. NVDY, $18.43. APLY, 82 cents. And Philip Morris, yes, we did actually used to hold Philip Morris and Altria. We got 1 penny from them. So that total comes out to $218.20, as you can see right here. So now we're going over Robinhood. So you guys can see Robinhood got absolutely smashed as well. So we can take a look at that over the last week. Pretty much on that news on Friday, which was yesterday, you can see up there April 12th at roughly around 5 in the morning before the market even opened. We just got completely dumped on, and we're not the only ones. I mean, there's other people that are investing that probably felt the same experience. There's probably a lot of very wealthy people out there that have millions, if not billions of dollars that were looking at their portfolio yesterday morning like, yikes, imagine having paper losses of, several $1,000,000 in a day. It's kind of scary. So, but yeah, we lost nearly $1,000 on our portfolio, but that's okay because we made money too. So we're going to go over these dividends right now. The first one that we're actually going to go over here is the QDTE. So this one didn't really pay much of anything. The the dividend was kind of a little disappointing. We were going to buy more of these shares instead of YMAX, so we bought YMAX instead, but they don't have a dollar amount here that you can buy, so we're just deciding to hold off on this for now. So you can see it's 9 cents. It's better than nothing, but it's not really as much as it was paying the previous week, so we just have to kind of wait on that one. So ORC, scrolling down here, you guys can see we got 2203. Aptly paid us $5.30 right here, as you guys can see on the 8th. So that is between the 7th and the 13th. Coney, now this was this was a big pair, but then again, I'm not really surprised that the price of Coney dropped because again, we do usually have some kind of retracement either before and or after the halving, but before the start of the parabolic phase of the bull run, which is typically the end of this year, according to the cycles. Plus, the dividend was also massive, so not really surprised to buy either one of those. But as you guys can see here, it was a whopping $231.29. We have way less shares of this than we have of Tesla's, so we'll go over to GUI now. So GUI paid us $5.89, which is an increase from the previous month. That's always nice. So AMZ, we're actually in profit on this one. Shockingly, we actually are in the money on this position, even though the entire market pretty much dumped on Friday. So I found that to be quite curious. Again, an increase month over month. We got 802 from AMZ. Of course, last month and February were pretty amazing months for both stocks and crypto. So I guess I'm not really too surprised that this thing had a massive increase month over month. So next one on the list is going to be MRNY. So $12.53 from this one, a little bit less than the previous month, but again, something's always better than nothing. So, and we all know that these yield max ETFs are not consistent in their payouts. So Squee is another one. This one actually, for some strange reason, had a massive pop to the upside. Maybe it was earnings or something, not sure. But even though the market was down, this thing went up in the after hours, as you guys can see. So $10.12 from this. So let's see here. Next one is NVIDIA. So we do still have shares of NVDY. We told you guys we were kind of trying to wait to see if this thing was going to pull back. It has actually finally pulled back. NVIDIA has actually had a pullback. Shock. I was beginning to wonder if NVIDIA was ever actually going to have a pullback or if it was just going to go up forever. So 57.48 for April. 57.48. So it's almost exactly the same as the previous month, which was definitely nice to see both a massive dividend and some consistency there. So MSTY is the next one. This one was obviously a huge payer, and well, it is quite heavily discounted, so we're probably going to pick up some more of this coming into the next month. So $91.53. But do understand that MSTR is a very volatile stock. The value of the company, the company's stock kind of fluctuates based on the value of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin has a big drop, likely MSTR is also going to have a big drop. So the last one here is TSLY. We still have our 50 shares. We haven't bought any, I guess it's 25 shares now after the stock split, but we haven't bought any and we haven't sold any, so still holding the same position. The payout was $17.10. So that total comes out to $461.38 here, as you guys can see. So we got to wait for this to load. Now we go over to Webull. Okay, so the payouts from Webull was $39.96 from OARC and from APOY, $5.37. As you guys can see, we still have our positions here. Nothing's changed. And that total comes out to $45.33. So the total dividends that we received for the week was $724.91. And then, of course, we have the BCHG profit here, so $1,796.16. Okay, so next thing that we're going to talk about here is the options. So in terms of options profits, what we received, so we did, let me actually pull up the Excel spreadsheet so I can tell you guys what this actually says. Okay, so we did 2 covered calls on HUT 8, but they were completely separate with separate expiration dates because, again, the price of HUT 8 was going down during that time, so we had to kind of readjust, so to speak. So on the first contract with the expiry of 4/19/24, we got $23 times 1 contract, so $23. Second covered call was with an expiry of 5/3/24, which you guys can see up there, the $11 strike price. 36 times 1, so $36 in premium. CLSK, we decided to go ahead and roll that one out till the first month of next year, so January 17, 2025, so it's $491 times 3. And it costs us $60 to close, so that's already factored in. We did actually close for a profit, so we made money by closing. We made like $63 or something like that, but that was for the previous week. So the total of that premium from CLSK comes out to $14.73, which does offset the vast majority of the paper drawdown that we've seen in the price of the underlying stock. And then for Riot, we wrote a covered call for 419.24 for a value of $26 times one, so $26 in premium for one weekly contract. And you guys can see all that over here on the right. Of course, BT, nothing's changed with that. But the total options premiums for that is $1,558, and that's in dollars, just so y'all know. So I'm sure you guys were probably thinking that was dollars, but yes, it's possible to actually make that much, if not even more than that, in options. I know it sounds crazy, but it's possible. So we're going to add these up. So it comes to 218.20 for M1, and then for Robinhood, 461.38. Webull is 45.33. Sorry, 724.91 is the total, so 1796.16 is going to be for BCHG. And then the options premiums is $1,558. So we add all that up. As you guys can see here, it's so just for this last week, $4,079.07. We had no intention of selling BCHG, but again, if BCHG drops by like 70% or something like that, because Bitcoin has a 50% drop, just keep in mind that it could go way lower than expected. Is it guaranteed to go lower? No. But Bitcoin itself, I'm going to show you guys on the chart right here. Okay, so BCHG and LTCN have had like a 35 to 50% drop in their prices. Bitcoin barely even had a drop. Okay, so I want to point this out to you guys. So the altcoins got smashed. The native altcoins got smashed by like about 20% or so. I'm going to show you guys the portfolio here in a minute as soon as this thing stops being choppy. But just from the wick high to the wick low here, Bitcoin really only dropped about 11%. Okay. If we saw something, and so Bitcoin dropped 11%, altcoins dropped by about 20%, LTC and BCHG dropped by about 40-50%. But then again, I would say LTC and BCHG were kind of overdue for a retracement. So it's not, I don't think it's necessarily 100% tied to Bitcoin. But if we saw something like this, I mean, there's no telling how low LTCN and BCHG could go. It could actually go lower than our cost basis, which is one of the reasons why we've held a certain amount of money aside to be able to buy the dip in case it does. It's not guaranteed. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen, but I'm just saying that is a possibility. So do understand that. So in terms of the positions that we bought into, we have not bought any native crypto this last week, and we did not buy any Grayscale Trust with the exception of the 1 day in HZEN because it's been kind of choppy. It hasn't given us the opportunity yet to buy on the cheap. So in terms of the positions that we've taken, we accepted, or we got assigned, I should say, 100 shares of Riot and 100 shares of HUD-8. So there's that, and we also did buy, looks like, I believe pretty much all that we bought this last week was WiMAX. So we'll take a look at WiMAX first. Then we'll take a look at HUD-8 and Riot so you guys can see. So WiMAX is actually in the profit, shockingly. So this thing has held up pretty well. I do like that. But we bought a lot of shares recently, so we're up to 55, roughly about 55 and a half shares. So that should come out to like somewhere around $30 a month or something. I'm not sure exactly what the number is, but it's more than it was before. I just know that. So you guys can see here that we bought quite a bit. So 1.39 shares, 1.39, 1.4, 4.68. Again, 1.39, 4.65, and 1.16. So the X date is sometime next week. So we just basically were like, hey, let's just load the boat now before the X date comes up so we can do that dividend capture strategy. And so now we go over here to HUD-8. So as you guys can see over the last week, HUD-8 has kind of gotten really absolutely smashed here. So it went from $9.25 down to $7.50 or so. But again, this is the nature of crypto. It's going to happen. Just understand that. So we took assignment on 100 shares. Now we have 300 shares at an average cost basis of $10, which again is around the support zone. So it's pretty much in line with our theory. So yeah, HUD 8's not doing so great. So we're probably actually going to buy even more of that starting next week because again, when it does reverse and comes back to the upside, we're just going to simply make that much more money. This is how you got to think when it comes to investing. Again, that's not financial advice, but that's generally how we see the markets from a contrarian perspective. So average cost basis on Riot, 1017. Current price is $9. Again, that's not so bad. Not as bad as HUD 8 or CLSK, but as you guys can see, it had a nearly $2 drop per share. So not great. But we have 200 shares, and our average cost basis is again very close to that support. As we showed you guys on the miner videos, if you haven't checked that out, go check it out. You'll see what we're talking about. And so starting Monday, we're going to write another covered call on HUD 8 and Riot to collect more premium to again offset the drop in price. And we'll probably even buy more shares straight off the market. So last thing I want to go over here is the crypto portfolio, the native crypto portfolio. So you guys can see real time what we're dealing with here, that you're not the only ones that have gotten your portfolio smashed as a result of the FUD that recently came to the market. So just to kind of show you guys what it looked like from just a couple of days ago, we took a nearly, how do I measure this? So a nearly $2,000 drop in just a couple of weeks. At the lowest point, this thing was down nearly $3,000. So a nearly, I don't know what that exact number is. It's like a 20% haircut in just a couple of days. So kind of crazy. All I can say is I'm glad we took profit on some of these altcoins and reinvested, because if we didn't take the profit, the portfolio wouldn't be as big now. And of course, there's dip buying opportunities. So we're out of the money on pretty much all of these, with I think the exception of Bitcoin and Ether. That's the only one that we're still in profit on. But yeah, a lot of these have just gotten smashed. So I mean, Horizon's down to $8.80 now. At one point, it was at 14. Render is under $8. It was at like $10 or $11 or something like that. I mean, yeah, a lot of these have gotten smashed pretty bad. So Ethereum was at almost 4,000. Now it's at 3,200. Litecoin was at $100 and some dollars. Now it's at 84. So, I mean, this is the time to buy. Not financial advice, but we're buying. We're not going to buy native cryptos right away next week, but we are going to buy the Bitcoin miners. So, I mean, if we could buy all three simultaneously in large amounts, trust me, we would. So anyways, this is our buy, sells, and dividends for the week. Hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.